University in managing healthcare business between the years of 2017 and I think 2018. Dr. Maxwell Okoth got certified from the Kenya School of Government in senior in public administration. In the year 2018, Dr. Maxwell Okoth went ahead to join Stanford University Graduate School of Business, where he joined the Stanford Seed Transformation Program. In 2018, he enrolled at Harvard Business School Executive Education. He was the program is known as the Senior Executive Program. Between the years of 2017 and 2019, Dr. enrolled for his Master of Science in Developmental Finance and Sustainable Development at Strathmore University. Now, for his experiences, Dr. Maxwell Okoth is quite vast in terms of the different roles he's taken up. He began as a medical officer intern at Kiambu District Hospital in 2011 to 2012. He thereafter joined Nyeri Provincial General Hospital, where he served as medical officer, and proceeded to Mount Kenya District Hospital. In the years of 2013 to 2014, he became a medical doctor at Pumwani Maternity Hospital. In 2014 to 2015, Dr. Maxwell Okoth was a medical officer in charge at MSF Kibera South Hospital. And for 2 years, he was the medical superintendent at Dagoretti Sub-County Hospital, Mutuini. For 10 years now, that's beginning 2011, Dr. Maxwell Okoth has been the founder and director of Ruai Family Hospital. And he'll highlight matters regarding how exactly he got into, developing or, structuring this organization, where he got the idea from shortly, but he has been the director for the past 10 years and 7 months. In 2018, he also founded the RFH Healthcare Kenya Limited. And 1 year ago, January 2021, he became the founder and chairman at Red Leaf Africa. Karibu Daktari. Can you just probably introduce yourself before we delve into the specific questions of your introduction?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. It's a Saturday, and so I had to pull aside somewhere and just attend this meeting. I'll make it very casual and very interactive as much as possible. And like I told the convener early enough, that I'd wish it to be a bit more question and answer than anything else. But before that is said and done, I was a member of Amsun not so long ago. I was a student at the University of Nairobi. I was in Hall 1. I was in houses for my first year. Second year, I was in Hall 1. Third year, I was in Hall 10. Fourth year, I was in Block B? The second one after the mess, yes. No, I went to medical school in my 5th year. So 4th year, I was still in Hall 10 as well. Where do we start from? I think everyone wants to know how we started RFH. After my high school in Maseno School, I came, because we used to wait for 2 years. I came to Nairobi to Strathmore, the School of Accountancy, where I was doing my CPAs. After 2 years, I went to medical school. That's 2005, October. I had this passion for business, so it's not something that started yesterday. I remember the first year we were in med school, Valentine's for that year. I walked around Arboretum and I found this guy who was selling flowers, and I told him, can I be a broker for flowers? And so I went to the hall and told everyone that if you are shy to deliver flowers to your girlfriend, I'm here to deliver them to you. That was the first business that I did in med school. And so I would say that people would give me orders and I would deliver flowers to their girlfriends on their behalf. And so I was a common person in Hall 4. I don't know whether that's where medical students, the ladies, still stay in their first year. Then after that, on my second year, I started mkoba.co.ke. That was it was a second online shop in this country. The first one was called Dalefish, which is today the Jumia. It did very well. Then I ran it for my second year, third year, fourth year, when I was meant to go for electives. I had no one else to hand over to, and so I had to close it down. So my passion for business had been there for a while. Fast forward to after I finished medical school, I'm posted to Kiambu. Then I realized that literally campus gave us everything we had. So the first time I got my bed sitter, I realized I didn't even own a bed, leave alone even a mattress. I slept on my carpet for about 2 weeks, trying to figure out how to get a mattress in a bed. And then I started my internship. That time we had stayed for about 4 months because people would start the internship in January. This time we started our internship in April. And so 4 months we were out and we didn't know whether we were going to be absorbed or not. So when I was absorbed as an intern in Kiambu, I entered the system. First, I started maternity because I really wanted to know how to do a CS. I was so eager to know how to do a CS. So when I finished my internship in maternity, one of our medical officers used to be a medical officer in charge at Nairobi Women's. And so she was like, hey, you're very good. Can I give you some shifts you cover up for me at Nairobi Women's when you're free? And so I would go to Nairobi Women's and have locums and come back. And so when I was in Nairobi Women's, I would see. That time it was the one in Hurlingham. It was like a 3-bedroom house, examination couch were those welded couches. Step stool was made of wood. Juakali, and like, if this guy can do this, then I can do it. So that's where the idea to start a clinic came in. So my second rotation was internal med. So I was in the medical wards. We had a lot of time left. And so that's where I started scouting around. That time my mother had just lost her job as well because they were laid off. Barclays Bank was downgrading their staff. So I knew she had a bit of some money somewhere. I lied to her that I was buying a piece of land. So she lent me 400,000. That's what we used to start RFH. So half of it I paid deposit for land in Kitangela. The other half was my startup capital in Ruai. I had the option of either starting in Pipeline or Ruai. And so when I went to Ruai the first time, I think I fell in love with it because I saw the Rongai, because I used to go to Nairobi Women's in Rongai and I said, this place will be like Rongai in the next 5 years. And I want to be that person who grows up with it. So that's how RFH today, as it's known, started. Started a small clinic, 2-bedroom house. So the sitting room was a reception and waiting area. One of the bedrooms was a consultation room. The other bedroom was a nursing station and a procedure room, and the kitchen was a laboratory. That time things were different. It was much more easier. Today, that 300,000 is the license you need for lab license alone. So things have changed. It's not the same anymore. There are a lot of barriers to entry. But yes, it wasn't easy. Then after 1 year, I finished my internship and I'm posted to Nyeri. So you're here with a baby of a clinic and you're hundreds of kilometers away. And knowing the Kenyan culture, I was taught thoroughly. I mean, they would steal and steal and steal. I literally would withdraw my salary to pay salaries. I borrowed loans from here till I don't know where. There's a time my net salary was 9,000 shillings. My rent was 10,000 shillings. So every month you're at a negative 1,000. And you still have the other expenses to pay. But then a man has to push on and you never give up. We pushed on. I think I've said this story severally. Sometimes it gets a bit boring on my end, but yes, that's why I said it's important if maybe people would ask questions. Some of my colleagues laughed at me. They're like, what are you doing in this dusty town? I mean, come, we do locums. I mean, life is good. But then I had a vision. I saw myself somewhere at some point, and that's what kept me going. So I pushed on and pushed on. I tried to work my way to come back to Nairobi. There's like a card gotten. Then one day when I was coming back from my grandfather's burial, a friend calls me to Mojo's in town. So we go, they were partying. Funny enough, that day I was not drinking. So we were coming back, I wanted to show them how my car can drive, how fast it can drive. And so we took Mbagathi Road, just behind City Mortuary, in front of Mbagathi Flats. I don't know what happened. I don't know whether I understeered or oversteered or whatever, and I had this nasty accident. So the car was a write-off. Lucky enough, no one got injured. So after that, I had this post-traumatic stress that I could not even sit behind the steering wheel. And then insurance company, as usual, took me around for months. But finally, they paid me. So when they paid me, I went to a medical equipment manufacturer, told them I have this money. In Ruai, there was no X-ray, there was no ultrasound, there's no full hemogram. And being a doctor, you're told that you must have evidence-based medicine. So I invested in a portable X-ray, portable ultrasound, a small theater. The total bill was about 2.something million, 2.3 thereabout. I only had 600,000 as a deposit. So the rest I was meant to pay over a period of time. So every month I had a debt of 232,000 shillings. But it's by faith. There are things you do and you don't know. You say tomorrow will take care of itself. Funny enough, it's something I keep doing. I always get out of it. I hope one day I don't find myself roasted in it, but then it worked, but it wasn't an easy journey. 1 month you decide, am I paying salaries? 1 month, am I paying the debt? 1 month, we gave checks bounced and everything. But we kept pushing, and now, because you are inside it, it's like you've entered the deep end of a swimming pool, and you either drown or you walk out. And I had to find a way to walk out. So yeah. So long story short, I found my way back to Nairobi when Uhuru started the free maternity services, and so Pumwani, I was posted to Pumwani as one of the medical officers to just reinforce the staff establishment. And now it was much easier. I could supervise and things started looking up. I was eventually able to pay my debts. We moved from that small clinic to a 10-bed hospital. Patients started walking in. We got insurances. We got NHIF. The end of it is what you see today. 8 hospitals across Nairobi, total bed capacity of 215, 530 employees. It's looking back, it was worth the struggle. I've had a lot of obstacles. Colleagues have fought me before, people you think would support you, but nothing comes easy. That's what I keep saying. You just have to keep your head high and stay strong. So that's a journey of RFH in a nutshell. So maybe based on what I've said, it would be easier if we start questions, and it would be much more easier for me to elaborate from there. But I stand guided from the MC. Maybe what would they want to know?
All right. A couple of questions are really streaming in, but probably a personal question from my end is, when I finished my high school education as well, I decided to do CPAs. Now, I don't know if you managed to finish your entire sections throughout med school, because I did like my first part and that was it for me. I don't know if you managed to go through all.
I got to section 4. Then I think by the time I was finishing med school, the system was very different. So yeah, that's it. I just needed a basics accounting knowledge to guide me through my practice. Yeah, so I didn't finish. I'm not a CPA.
All right. Even then, I can, for the little CPA I did, it's like changed my mind in terms of accounting and business, and I applied to date. Would you say that these 4 sections of CPA managed to, steer your entrepreneurial career in, this field?
Yeah, it has really helped me. I mean, my accountant would not send me books and just play around with them. I know what to look for and how to analyze. I know how to do costing. I have an idea of taxation. I have an idea of auditing. I mean, my mind is much more broader as opposed to someone who didn't step into those classes. It definitely impacted into me, yes.
All right, that is very true. So probably the first question I have in the chat box is, someone asks, what licenses or regulatory approvals do you need to open a facility?
Back then, it was much easier. I just needed a KMPDC. It was the board then, KMPDB license. And then I had to get the laboratory license. Today, we have about 10, 15 licenses. The game has changed. It's totally different. So KMPDC, PPB, KMLTTB, radiation and protection. Sorry? Yeah, radiation protection. Okay. Yeah. So right now, licensing alone, by the time you're paying all your licenses today, you're probably spending about 2 million shillings per year. And the costs have gone higher. It's not the same. But back then, like I said, things were much more easier.
All right. And probably if someone was to start their own facility, being that you already have MBCHB, would you recommend they do an MBA, an MSc probably in some administration course, probably before they become a director of a small facility or something? What further education do you strongly recommend someone should ideally have before they get into the business?
I don't think the education should hold you from getting into the business. But while you're in the business, try and enhance your knowledge while at it. Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, there are many things. There are short courses in Strathmore, managing healthcare business, a couple of weeks. I'm more geared towards executive courses than these traditional courses because time is money. You've spent 5-6 years in medical school. If I tell you to take another 4 years before you start your life, I mean, you have to have everything running concurrently. So there are short courses that would guide you to knowing what you actually need to know, and they give you the key points of what you need.
All right. Someone else asks, are you still in active practice as a doctor?
No, I don't. The last time I saw a patient was 5 years ago. You have to choose a struggle. Look at it this way. You wake up in the morning and you're looking at about 60 suppliers. You have 8 outlets. You have over 500 employees. Even if you're to go look up to a patient, I don't think you're going to give your patient the best. So you have to choose one side. As a practice, as a single clinic, yes, you can do both. But there's a point it reaches and you say, now you need to choose which side. Either I employ a CEO full-time and become a practicing doctor, or I become the CEO and leave my practice. I chose the latter.
Which makes sense. Someone else asked, what is the total addressable market, CAGR, in healthcare?
Compounded annual growth rate. It depends on the aggressiveness of whoever is running the enterprise. I've been able to steer the business to a compounded annual growth of about 130% averagely. That is not the industry standard. Honestly, it depends on which niche market you're looking at, which market segment you're looking at. There's no standard answer to that question.
Fair enough. Another person asked, when you started, do you have a team or you're alone? And did you, along the way, get stakeholders or still independently finance the different hospitals across Nairobi?
When I started, I was alone. When I was in Nyeri, I got one of the clinical officer interns as one of my staff. He's been there with us for all this time. And so we have developed a team over time. Currently, we have a team. I don't need to be there throughout. I was 99% for the longest time with my mother, 1%. Then eventually I gave a friend 10%. So I'm 90%, and the other friend of mine is at 10%. This is the time we are opening our doors to private equity investors. And so we see how that goes. But currently we are still running into just credit facilities and internally generated funds.
All right. Someone asked a very interesting question. Why did you come to med school in the first place, given that you had the passion for business from before? And how did you manage to not lose either of the two? And what kept you in the move in the dark tunnels? Those 3 questions. Probably why you came to med school before.
First of all, I never chose medicine as my first choice. I chose BCom. When I got an A-plane, my father gave me an option: take this money, go and change your career. But I saw his point. I mean, BCom had about 1,000 people graduating every year. You have to work around to get a job. Medicine, UON had 100, Moi had about 90. You were guaranteed a job. And so I said, I mean, let have a sure landing, and then I can chart the course after that. So that's how I ended up in medical school. We were those people who used to survive, 51% and above. And yes, I realized that I just needed to sail through. And so I literally sailed through. I was lucky never to have gotten a supplementary or a receipt. Yeah, and that's it. But I think it was good. It opened my eyes. Medicine teaches you how to dissect issues and how to solve issues in a different way that these other careers would never open your eyes to. Yeah, and so now I'm here benefiting from both sides.
All right. Regarding the licenses, someone asked where they can get a list of all these licenses they probably need to start. I
think your chairman would probably liaise with me. I'll give you a full list of all the licenses you need. Yes, and probably they can share.
No problem.
But basic one is KMPDC, PPB. If you have a lab, KMLTTB. If you have an X-ray, then whatever the radiology board, and then just the council license. That's it to start with. The others now come depending on what level of facility you put in.
All right. Someone says
Yes.
that they recently saw on TV that RFH was closed by KMPDB due to some issues with COVID-19 vaccine. How did it affect your progress and how did you deal with it? And are such scenarios common? And how do you handle such defamatory media visibilities?
First of all, we had handled the vaccines as per the protocols that were meant. Some employees will do things that are not right. Ideally, the hospital should not take liability and they should take their own personal responsibility. Unfortunately, in this particular case, we were made to take the responsibility and called a letter to explain to us. I think we went to the board, explained to ourselves, and we were exonerated. It's part of the industry hazard. I mean, you have to deal with it. It was there. We had to tell the world that at least we've been cleared, and just to give confidence to our clients that we still stick by the standards which are put there. Yes.
All right. Someone else asked, in starting up, is it prudent to go solo or get a nurse friend, a pharmacist friend, and start up something as a multidisciplinary team?
I come from a point of sometimes I prefer to be in control of what direction we're going. If you're sure you have a team that you'll get along, then the more people, the better. The problem with multidisciplinary team is the politics that come in along the way. Before I started RFH, I'd started a company in my second year. We were about 10 people. We used to sell medical textbooks and lab coats and all those. But the politics came in and a very good idea just died. So it depends. If you have good people, you can get along, you can work in, the better. You spread the risk around. Problem usually comes now when politics comes in and a very good vision is killed along the way.
Okay, fair enough. Someone also asked, for a medical student interested in entrepreneurship, what skills would you recommend them to acquire?
What skills would I recommend them to acquire? I just need to be good at making judgments and focus. I mean, I don't think there's any particular skill that you need, but I think, like I said, go for these short courses. Just explains to you how to manage a business, bookkeeping, record keeping, people management, making judgments. Yes.
All right. Someone else also asks, what would you say are the key aspects to consider when setting up facilities, and what do you need to start?
What target market are you looking at? What location does your target market come from? What pricing segment are you keen on? And what services do you want to keep? But what, above all, is what makes you unique. Today, there's a lot of facilities in healthcare industry coming up. And so the competition is on another level. You really need to be very different from what everyone else is doing. Yes. And so what value proposition are you bringing to the table?
All right, that's very important, value proposition. Someone asked, what opportunities are there in digital health space?
That's the next big thing. So it's everything in digital aspects, from home care to nursing care to pharmaceutical delivery. I mean, that's the next unexploited place. It's still not regulated. There's no barriers to entry. I mean, if I was anyone today, I would not think of brick and mortar. That's the direction I'll think of right now. Yes, it's an open desert ready to be explored.
Okay.
And whoever does it well will be the next person. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if you had touched on this earlier on, but someone probably needs clarification on the same. How did you fund your progress financially? Did you apply for bank loans? Do you endorse getting private investors as well?
So yes, like I told you, first seed capital is from the 3 Fs: friends, family, or fools. I chose family. Then after that, the first debt we got was from Youth Enterprise Development Fund. That was about 1.8 million. Then we went to bank loans. We kept going up and up. Then we got a private equity fund, but it was a debt, a mezzanine debt from a South African company. Then we came back to a Kenyan bank. Then again, we went to International Financial, that as a debt that bought the international fund. So It's been debts more often than not, but then more of it is internally generated funds. So you plow back what you make into the business.
All right. Someone says, what books, business or otherwise, would you recommend to a young, ambitious man?
A lot of them. I have a whole lot of lists. Blue Ocean Strategy, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, The Alchemist, The Keyman. Oh, I have a lot of books to recommend.
All right, you could probably send us a list at the end of the talk.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate that. Okay, given the current state of affairs in our country in terms of economy and taxation, how does a young medic survive in terms of starting a business? We're being taxed left, right, and center, and that itself demotivates us to even start.
It's not easy, but then again, we have to do it. I mean, I always say, if we look at the negatives that make us not enter something, then we'll never do anything. Enter that bracket and find a way to survive. If we had to close our shops because we were taxed today, we would not be there. So we always find a way to accommodate those taxes.
All right. Someone else is asking the same question again regarding, how did you manage to not lose focus on either of the two? That's medicine and business. Probably someone wants to do their business at the same time, excel in medical school. How do you, juggle between the two?
For me, my medicine determined how well my business was going to do because I was selling my medicine. And so if my medicine is work, then the business will not survive. So they go hand in hand. Yes.
All right. They also ask, what kept you on the move in the dark tunnels?
The fear of going back to where I came from.
Right.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. And the haters around who always pray for you to fall down. So you always have to work hard to disapprove them.
Good. Someone also asked, what is the total addressable market for telemedicine in Kenya?
The 45 million Kenyans.
5 million Kenyans. Okay. And what is the optimum pricing for healthcare services?
What is the optimum?
Pricing for healthcare services.
Pricing.
Yes.
The bottom of the pyramid, that's where the market is today. So anyone who will be able to penetrate the BOP, that's where the market is. The market for Nairobi Hospital and Aga Khan is taken unless you have a very deep pockets. It will be very hard to penetrate. So whoever will go back to the ground and take care of the mamambogas and bring them in the bracket, that is a person who's gonna run that market.
All right. Someone says, can you argue that there are already enough hospitals in Kenya and there is no need to start another one?
No, that's a lie. Everyone will always need a second opinion. And probably they are all fed up with the ones which are existing.
All right.
Like I said, what new thing are you bringing
to the table?
Yes.
Okay. Now, knowing that you enrolled for Harvard Business School and Stanford Seeds program, do you encourage MBA programs to succeed in health entrepreneurship?
It is important, but it's not everything. Yes, there are businessmen who've run multi-billions, billion companies and never stepped in school. But it opens your eyes to see things differently, but it's not fundamental.
All right. Someone's asking for your email address probably at the end of the session so that they ask questions directly. Would that be possible?
I'm sure your team has my email address. They can share to those who wish to send.
All right. And how was it convincing your investors to buy into your idea? Was it difficult? How was the process like for you?
If you have a product that sells, it shouldn't be such a difficult thing. And most important thing, investors don't just look at your business. They look at how you package your business. Do you have your books in order? How have you been running it? Do you have systems? Do you have a team? They look at a whole lot of things. So that's where most companies in Kenya fail, because you have a very good product, but your books are not in order, or you don't have systems, you don't have SOPs, you don't have a team in place. And so those are the things that sometimes fail most of us. That's why going for these courses is important, because they teach you how to package yourself.
All right. And are you open to partnership in healthcare? And someone's asking where they can reach you.
Like I said, my email address will be given to those who want. It depends on what partnership you're looking at, and it depends whether we are aligned in thought process.
Right. Now, someone says medical and laboratory equipment are very expensive. What equipment do you have, or did you have when beginning, and how did you manage to acquire them?
I think I gave that story when we started. Yes, so I paid a deposit, and then I agreed on a repayment plan, which I defaulted in most of it, but eventually I cleared my debts.
All right.
Like I said, we started with portable X-ray, portable ultrasound, and a small theater.
All right. What are some of the mistakes you made along the way, and what did you learn from them?
Mistakes I made along the way. They're good stuff that I didn't give a second chance. Sometimes I let my fears get onto me. What else? There are days I believed in myself too much, and maybe I should have listened to a second opinion. I wish I had a mentor along the way to just hold my hands and just tell me how to deal with the market and the industry. Yeah, precisely.
Right. The challenges you encountered in sourcing for genuine medical equipment? I think you have the emphasis is on genuine. What are the challenges encountered in sourcing for genuine medical equipment?
From day one, I got a very good supplier who's been in the market for a very long time, and so he does the research for the industry. He's been very reliable. And every time I steered off him, I think I got wrong deals.
And regarding the licenses, do you need only an MPCHB degree, or you need friends for the other licenses like the PPB license?
PPB, you must have a pharmacist or a pharm technologist to be your superintendent. They can be employees. They don't need to be partners in the business. Every industry must have someone to be in charge. And so more often than not, they're more like employees, but not shareholders or partners.
Okay. And someone asked that they saw you had an overlap starting your business with internship. How did you balance at the time and even when you were an MO?
It wasn't easy, but yes, I had to figure out how to do it, yes. I don't think there's a formula. I just had to do my rotations, and I had to present my cases, and I had to be there. But I had employees, so because I had a clinical officer, a lab tech, and a nurse. And so I was more like a supervisor.
Okay. Someone asked, I don't know if it's vague, so what's the core of your business? I think it should be, yeah. What's the core of your business?
I don't understand.
All right, I can probably rephrase that question. So what new business perspectives did you acquire when you were at Strathmore, Stanford, etc., that you currently incorporate in running your business?
Like I told you, they taught me more of how to package a business, how to keep your books, how to supervise, how to do strategy, how to manage people. There are quite a number of sections that those courses give you.
All right. And do you use decentralized command to run your hospitals? If so, how effective is it? And what do you look for in delegates?
Yes, every branch has their healthcare manager who's like a mini CEO. Most of these people are people we've worked with and nurtured and trained over time. So we don't just pick people from outside. Yes.
Probably now a social question. What can you do if you're an introvert and you want to start and you want to get into business?
Introverts can be very good businessmen. It doesn't mean that extroverts are the good businessmen. They have a better judgment of the environment than extroverts. And so it doesn't mean you have to be an extrovert to be a businessman. I don't think there's a personality well skewed for a businessman in particular.
All right. Someone's asking.
You just need to get a stronger business development and marketing person.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Someone asks if it's possible to provide the contact of your supplier.
Sure. Just, I'm sure you'll give them my emails then. If need be, then
All right.
I'll link them up.
Okay. And what kind of leadership style have you used that has worked for you or has given you good outcomes?
I do not interfere with their daily to-day operations as long as you meet your KPI. I'm a laissez-faire type of person.
All right. And how do you ensure that your team shares your vision and works towards it?
It's about mentoring the team that you have. Yes, to buy into the vision, and that's the role of a leader. You need to motivate your team to feel the same way you're feeling and see the direction you're going into. It's an acquired skill.
All right. And what are the short business courses you can recommend to someone who would want to venture into business like yours?
Start with managing healthcare business from Strathmore. I think that's the best place to start.
All right. Someone asked, is the salary of a doctor worth the effort you probably put in?
It depends on what you're looking at in life. There's no answer to that question. Yes.
And someone also asked where they can get the stats and data on healthcare space in Kenya.
WHO has them online. At the Afia House, they are there as well. Medical boards, depending, all these other boards across boards. So depending on which particular aspect of healthcare you're looking at. But it's quite some work.
Very many medical students, probably have this fear of failure. So someone asks, how did you get over your fear of failure if you indeed had it?
I don't fear failing. It's what I do after failing that matters. Yes. Some things will work, others will not work. Yes. Pick yourself and move on.
Okay. And how did you deal with debt and work yourself out of it?
It's not easy. Yes. Sometimes I've gone into depression. Sometimes I've got into anxiety. Yeah. I mean, a man must pay his debt. So you just have to work your way out of it. Cut your costs, see how you increase your revenue, because that's the only way to pay debts.
Okay, someone's asking you probably highlight on the relationships you had probably with classmates while in med school and currently.
I'm a very social person. So, okay, currently I think I have more of non-medic friends than medic friends. Medical school, I'm a very outgoing person. I'm free out there. Depends. You like me, you don't like me, I live my life.
All right. Now, regarding probably the branding of your company, someone asked, why did you go with RY or RFH as the name of the company? Why not use your name like Maxwell? What's the name of much importance?
Yeah, name is very important. When I was starting, I didn't know I would grow to be big. And so that's why I said RY. Looking back, we had to grow and we needed to get a name that will be bought out there. So changing to Maxwell's is a thought that crossed our mind, but we needed to sign new contracts with insurances and everything, which was going to be very expensive. And so we just abbreviated it to RFH. Yes, but looking back, maybe you'd have called it Maxwell's Hospitals or Healthcare. A name is very important. Yes.
Okay. And how did you balance, family life, internship, and MO, like your work as an MO and also the business?
I've always tried to make my life move concurrently. My wife was my girlfriend in 5th year. We went to Nyeri when she was an intern. I was a medical officer. We found our way back to Nairobi. Yeah, it's not been easy, to be honest. It's not been a bed of roses, but we found a way to work our ways around our issues. We got kids. I have 3 children at 35. Some people say I rushed, but for me, it works. I mean, life has to move on in all aspects.
Okay. Now, probably getting into the most social type of questions regarding, marriage life and dating and who you should date or who you shouldn't. But before that, is it easy to get a loan if you start a corporation?
Most people will not give startups a loan. Every person wants an industry a business that has been there for at least 6 months to 1 year. that they just look at your books. Are you making money? It's very difficult for any person to give a startup money. And that's why he said for startups, it's either friends, family, or fools, people you can lie to give you money.
Okay. And how do you manage, personal relationship, that's dating when busy and with the medical profession? And is it advisable? Yeah. And is it advisable to date a medic?
It's not about a medic or an unmedic. It depends on what you're looking for in a person. I found a woman who understood me, was willing to support me, didn't see me for who I was then, but saw who I would have been in the future. I think they were richer than me way back then. She supported me to be who I am. You just need a partner who will be your cheerleader and hold your hands and you grow together. Unfortunately, sorry to say, the ladies today, I think, are more inclined towards ready-made men. I'm not saying the ones who are here, that's what they do, but I think if you get that woman who believes in you, and if you get that man who believes in you, and you are willing to support each other, then that's the right person for you.
All right. And from your story starting a hospital, they say probably doesn't seem to be that glamorous. Is thinking that being an entrepreneur is glamorous, misguided?
It's a good life. I'll not lie to you. There are days things are good. There are days you feel like you're going bankrupt. But yes, it pays off. I'll not lie. I mean, yeah, I can't complain. I live a comfortable life. My kids go to good schools. I drive good cars. Yeah, I mean, yes.
Right. At the start, when you were, far from the facility, how did you manage, the fear of employees stealing from you or, misconduct that would bring the business down?
They stole. That one they stole, and they still steal today. You just need to keep closing the leakages and improving your systems every now and then. It's a culture in us. I don't know. It's like we always think that shortcut is the best way.
Okay. As someone asked, what legacy do you want for RFH?
I want to make it a continental brand over and above and make Red Leaf one of the biggest microinsurance companies ever started in Africa.
Right. All the best with that. Someone also asked, why do dentists start clinics more often than physicians? Which is more expensive between the
dentists would start clinics because, okay, a dental seat is about 400,000 plus compressor, then you need just rent and yourself. A clinic comes with very many things. You need a lab, you need an ultrasound, you need an x-ray, you need a dentist. Once they have a dental chair and their handpieces and their sets, they're good to go. I look forward for the day dentists will stop starting standalone small practices and start a chain of dental practices that can be reputable and make a name as a dental chain, because we don't have one in this country.
All right. And how do you differentiate a guy who is a dreamer from a guy who makes his dream possibly come true?
The people who succeed in life are the ones who actually pursue their dreams and not just dream about them.
Okay. And what are the top 5 lessons you learned while in med school and running the hospitals?
Med school taught me to be resilient, to never give up, to always struggle. I mean, getting negative percentages in biochemistry would have let us give up, but then it just told me you have to push on. Entrepreneurship has showed me that hard work actually pays. And if you put your head into something, it will not be easy initially, but eventually it opens up and pays back. Most people give up in entrepreneurship because the first few days and months are never easy and they close shop. But if you cross that path and you succeed that path, then it's always a better story after.
All right. Is hiring an accountant important in the early stages of this business?
Initially, you can have a person who comes every week to do bookkeeping for you if you cannot afford it. Then later on, you must have an accountant. Otherwise, the tax man is always there waiting to come back for you later.
All right. Now, probably as we wind up, if you go back to med school, what would you do differently? And also, what would you, do differently if you had to start the business again?
I would never want to go back to med school.
Okay, so you wouldn't go back to
Yes.
med school, you'd go directly to BCom or BBIT or a business-related course?
No, not in that way. I mean, it's a life. Thank God I passed it, and yes, it was good while at it. I passed. What would I do differently? It worked for me. So yes, I would not go back. I would not wish to go back to that life again. But yes, whatever I did then worked. Yes, I would still maintain it that way.
All right. Now I probably come to, the end of this question and answer session. For those who have questions, will probably contact you directly. Thank you very much for answering the questions. I'll hand over to Jasper to give the vote of thanks. Asante sana daktari.
Thank you very much, Asante.
Thank you so much, Moha. Thank you so much, Doc, for creating time out of your busy schedule. It's not every day that we get to be addressed by CEOs, and I'm trusting we'll be able to engage more in the coming days. Thank you for creating time off your evening, and would now wish to release you to get back into your business of improving health and saving the country. I know for the students who might have more questions, you can always email them to me. I'll forward them to Doc, and God willing, he'll be able to respond or reply in good time for the same.
Thank you very much. Before I leave, I think there's a question I need to is masters worth it? The market has changed. There's a flooding of general practitioners and AMOs. If you don't have something that makes you different, it will be very difficult to survive. And yes, if you can afford it, please go for it. If you can afford subspecialization, go for it. But what sells you as a doctor is not your papers. It's how you handle your clients, how you explain to them, how you treat them. That's why you'll find a clinical officer is more sought after than even a cardiologist. Thank you very much, guys, and may God bless you, and I wish you all the best in your studies. Asante.